Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you so much, Harila Prabhuji, for giving me the opportunity to purify myself by giving His Grace Shamik Rishi Prabhuji's introduction. So please forgive me if I do any mistake. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, His Grace Shamik Rishi Prabhuji, for accepting the invitation from Parsarthi Foundation. His Grace Shamik Rishi Prabhuji was born in a Vaishnava family in 1945 and raised with the principles of Bhagavad Dharma. If we talk about his college years, he was asked to deliver lectures on Janmashtami. He was gold medalist during his graduation from Gandhi Medical College in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, India. Along with being as a civilian medical officer in Army Ordnance Corps post, he kept his spiritual life first. Prabhuji started reading Back to Godhead magazines and other Prabhupada books when he joined ISKCON Philadelphia in 1971. Very soon he spread Krishna consciousness with among his whole family in those who are settled, those who were settled in the USA. In April 1973, Prabhuji and his wife met His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada in New York. On the day of Janmashtami of 1977, both of them accepted initiation from him and subsequently took a Brahminical initiation from His Holiness Swatasarupa Maharaj in 1979. In early 80s, Prabhuji donated Sri Radha Krishna deities to ISKCON Philadelphia. During 90s, he took initiative to construct a new home for Sri Radha Damodar in Gita Nagari. He served as the temple president at ISKCON Tobacco, New Jersey from 1996 to 2010. He served at different places, ISKCON temples in many ways. For example, he hosted His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj and his entire 40 film crew members for Abhay Charan movie at his home for a few months. From last few years, Prabhuji is spending his full time in spreading the Srila Prabhupada's mission by introducing the project called Krishna Mini Temple and introducing villagers also into Krishna consciousness in India, especially in Madhya Pradesh. Along with spreading Krishna consciousness around him, he completed Guru Seminar in Mayapur, given by His Grace Anutama Prabhu, because he felt becoming an initiative guru will enable him to perform his service better. Now Prabhuji is an initiative guru and for around 30 of his disciples. There are many more things to tell about Prabhuji, but with the interest of time, I would like to request Prabhuji to take over the call. So I beg forgiveness for any of my mistake, Prabhuji. Vansha kaltarubhyasya kripa sindhubha eva chapatita nam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you to all the devotees who are attending, giving me the opportunity to speak some philosophical discussion about how we could be happy all the time and how we remove our miseries and what is the source of miseries. So I will discuss 2 points through this verse in Bhagavad Gita, 5:22. So let us just pray first. Om Ajnantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanitam Tamsajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Savana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नमो महावदनाय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतुषे नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी आश्याद्य देशतारिणे हरे कृष्ण. So ममैवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूत सनातन. We are eternally part and parcel of Krishna. And part has to serve the whole, that is Krishna, like we have to water the tree. So that Swarup, Jivra Swarupa Krishna Nitya Das. Eternally we are servant of Krishna. And in that, whatever happiness we are getting are because if we water the root, then naturally whole tree would get green. But we are in the temporary material world and forgetting our real position. We are eternally a servant of Krishna. We try to enjoy the same happiness which we had with Krishna, Ananta Sukh, that is eternal Sukh. It's never ending. But we are in the place of misery, Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. That is the temporary place, miserable place, and but we are looking in the material world. We are looking on a wrong place, like rich man's sons. Rich man has gone, and he did not show where is his wealth. But we have a great wealth. That wealth is tremendous. Like Krishna is owns all the material planets, the spiritual planets, and all the enjoyment is there. But we are looking in a pretty place and working very, very hard to obtain that happiness, which is going to get ended anyway. But we, as an eternal soul, eternal servant of Krishna, is looking for eternal happiness, which is not there, and that is because our ignorance, because our not having the proper knowledge, and we are suffering in the material world tremendously without recognizing. We think that we will make some adjustment by scientific way, by my wealth, by my plans, by my some tricks. I will be able to change, but that happiness never comes unless we look like this poor man, so children or rich man's children. Then they were looking for his father's wealth in north, west, south, but the wealth was dug, like put in the ground on the east side. So when they dug it, easily they found it. So same thing easily, if we take to the scriptures, that knowledge, then we will be very happy eternally. That is what is the demand of the soul. Soul is eternal and the body is temporary. And the body, temporary body, cannot get pleasure in the temporary material things. So whatever we do in the material thing, whether it is wealth, whether whatever kind, dharma, artha, kam, moksha, these four are purusharth, that by religiosity we get some wealth, and by wealth we can enjoy, fulfill our desires, calm. And that is innate, the part of the soul. Soul is thinking, feeling, willing. That we contemplate, feeling, that we feel that they could give me pleasure, and then we will to obtain that, and then after obtaining, then we want to act on that. So unless it is stopped at the time of thinking for sense enjoyment, because our senses are material senses, we have a spiritual senses of the soul, and the spiritual senses enjoy, and that anandam buddhi vardhanam pratipadam purnamrata swadhanam. That enjoyment is eternal pratipad. Every step it increases more and more, but material pleasure does not increase more and more. So in Bhagavad Gita, the text 343, evam buddhe cha param buddhya santabhyatmanam atmana jahi shatrum mahabaho kamarupam durasadam. Knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, we are mind and intelligence. O mighty Arjun, one should study the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna, that is Krishna consciousness. And thus, by spiritual strength, conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. So we are dominating over the sources of the material nature and desiring for overlording of the material nature, our sense of gratification. That is our greatest enemy of the conditioned soul. But by strength of Krishna consciousness, one can control the material senses and mind and the intelligence. So we can control them. Now we have, so Bhagavad Gita, I will read those verses. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, or he concentrates on the supreme. So but how this is, what this material pleasure, what is the wrong with the material pleasure? People may ask that I'm enjoying this pleasure and I want to have more and more, and I'm not satisfied. I will make some changes, and then I will be happy forever. Uh, but those things, this Bhagavad Gita is describing that any enjoyment with contact, they do not, that is the source of misery. So there is an equation, enjoyment is equal to misery. That is the equation, that anytime there is enjoyment, and there is not a single thing in the material world that you enjoy and it does not end in misery. So the text number 22, 522, that is the topic of today. Yehi swansparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adya antavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha swansparshaja bhoga. Ye means those, certainly. So swansparsha means contact, touching, the touch sensation with the material senses. That is bringing our material senses in touch with the tanmatra, the objects of the senses. So we have five like knowledge acquiring senses, and then five are working senses. These knowledge acquiring senses are the only source of enjoyment, and that is also source for learning. Like we want to bring our ears for hearing some nice musical sound, but everybody is a different taste according to their conditioning. Nose want to smell very nice, fragrant scents. The tongue wants to eat delicious food. I want to see beautiful things. The touch sensation also is there. So whatever the sansvarsaja, by contact with the material senses, the senses like Jnanendriya and Karmendriya, as we discussed. Bhoga means enjoyment. Bhoga, that is for enjoyment. We offer Krishna the bhoga, and that is for Krishna's enjoyment. We don't take bhoga, we take the prasad, mercy of the Krishna. So they are, this bhoga, enjoyment is dukkha yonaya evacha. Dukkha, that is the distress. Yonaya, that is the source. Yoni means the birthplace, our womb. So that is the place, this Swansparshaja bhoga, enjoying our the senses with the sense objects. That is the source of misery. That is the birthplace of misery. We don't want misery, but it automatically comes because we have material enjoyment and we do not understand about that. So it is certainly, it has, because what is the problem with this material enjoyment? Because it has beginning, and anything which has beginning has an end. Even the whole material world, there is a beginning, and material world also ends. There is a pralaya, naimittik pralaya, ekantik pralaya, pralaya for the soul also, prakritik pralaya. So it is adi. Adi means beginning and end. Adi, anta, vanta. It is subject to Ekonte, O son of Kunti. The never they show in those, the people who are intelligent, they do not take delight in this. Intelligent Buddha means the intelligent person. A intelligent person does not take delight. Ramante means Ram. Ramante word comes with Ram also. Raman, Radha Raman, which enjoys with Radha. That is Radha. Ram means one who is enjoying. So enjoyment, that is the nature of the soul, because it has been enjoying, that is, but somehow we are in the wrong place, like a fish getting attracted by glittering sand particles, and she jumps and comes out, then naturally she will have to suffer unless it is put back into its natural environment. Our natural environment is the spiritual world. and we are in the material world, which is compared to a prison house. So how we could be happy in this prison house where there is so many restriction, the any anand bliss, like if you eat rasgulla or gulab jamun, after some you will get tired. After sex life, which is considered to be a topmost pleasure in the material world, that is the Maithunadi the Bharat Maharaj was given instruction by his father Rishabdev in fifth canto. So that also is talking about the same thing. Prahlad Maharaj is also saying the same thing. So any intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery. Source of misery is contact due to contact with the material senses. So it has beginning and end, and the wise man does not delight in this. So the purport by Srila Prabhupada, material sense of pleasures are due to the contact of the material sense, which are all temporary, because the body itself is temporary. A liberated soul is not interested in anything which is temporary, knowing well the joys of transcendental pleasure. So if he knows the joy of the, how can a liberated soul agree to enjoy the false pleasure? In Padma Purana also it has been said, Ramante yogino nante satyanande chidatmani iti rama pade nasau param brahma bhiyate. The mystic derive unlimited transcendental pleasure from the absolute truth, and therefore the absolute truth, that is the source of everything. Therefore, the supreme absolute truth, the personality of God, it is also known as Ram, Ramante. Srimad Bhagavatam also 551, it is said, Nayam deho deha bhajamra loke kastan kaman arhate vitujam ye tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shuddhet yasmat brahma sokhyam tu anantam. My dear sons, so this is Rishabdev uh, is instructing his 100 sons. There is no reason to labor very hard for sense pleasure while in this human form of life. Such pleasures are available to the stool eaters, that is hogs also. Good puja means hogs, one who eats a stool. Similar kind of animals, stool eater. Rather, you should undergo penances in this life, tapodivyam, by which your existence will be purified. So by tapasya means Krishna consciousness, whatever there are rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness, if you follow that, that is the greatest austerity, waking up early, taking bath with cold water, going to the temple, chanting the name of the Lord, following Ekadashi, just like yesterday we had Ekadashi, so following Ekadashi, and other birth days of the Supreme Lord. So we celebrated many festivities and spreading Krishna consciousness, distributing goods. So these are whatever is prescribed by Srila Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there is certain austerity, but it will purify our existence. We have been contaminated because we are in the material world from time immemorial, and our soul can never be satisfied by this temporary arrangement because we are eternal. The body is temporary. So what is the use of something that you begin and then it has to end? We begin studying so much college, all this, you enjoy for some time, produce some byproduct, and then we have to die. And again, starting again. And who knows what kind of a species of life that we will be in, because we have to know the science of Krishna consciousness, that how there is migration of the soul. According to our karma, we take another body, another species of life. So we need an unlimited transcendental bliss because we are transcendental. We are above para and apara prakriti. We are from the para prakriti. Apara prakriti is this material world. So our yogis are learned transcendentalists are not attracted by sense pleasure because they know that it will end and it will become a source of misery, which are the causes of continuous material existence. If the more one is addicted to material pleasures, the more he is entrapped by material miseries. And so before we end our life, before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, calm and cool, he will be situated in and is happy. He will be is well situated and is happy in this world. So calm, krodh, lobh, moh, mada, matsari. But there are 6 senses and and but minds, not senses, but Yeah, you could say six senses: ears, nose, eyes, tongue, skin, touch. So all these senses, and then the mind. So the mind, one who has controlled all this, is called Goswami or Swami. So such Goswami live strictly controlled lives and go, and they do not engage in the sense enjoyment. You may say that there is spiritual sense enjoyment. He does not enjoy. Yes, he enjoy Anand. Just like I will give you a story of Lord Ram. Lord Ram was in the forest, and when Sita was kidnapped by Ravan, then he was lamenting so much, but inside he was having pleasure, and because that is, there are two kinds of pleasure: pleasure in presence of Sita Devi, in presence of Vira. Vira are Vipralambha. So gopis also, when Krishna left his Vrindavan, he went to Mathura and Dwarka and Hastinapur. But gopis were thinking of the Supreme Lord. There is more attachment in the Vira or Vipralambha. So Lord Ram came to teach us that two things, internal and externally. Internally he was enjoying because in the Vira there was more attachment to Sita Devi. And externally he's teaching us that when you are attached to someone, like attached to your wife, family, children, home, wealth, bank balance, whatever, that in that way, that is also when you are too much attached to these things, and then there is a separation, there is so much pain. Like Lord Ramchandra went to the pain that he forgot at his God. He was asking, who am I? Where I am? Where I am going? And then he will cry and going. So in this way, nobody attached in the material world has gone through so much suffering like Lord Ramchandra. Words, anybody he will ask. So, so getting too much attached is a cause of misery. So we should be attached to Krishna and not to something material that is teaching two things. What is Vipralambha Bhav and what is too much getting attached to, and how much that we suffer because of the attachment. So one whose happiness is within, who is active and resides within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme. So this is the Brahma Nirvana, that he gets this Brahma. Who could win this Vegam, Vega of the Kam and Krodh. Kama Krodhodbhavam Vegam, so Yukta Sukhimara. He is the only happy person in this material world. So Vegam, this Upadeshamrita, very first verse is about Vegam. Vacho Vegam Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jiva Vegam Udaro Pasta Vegam, Etan Vedan, Yovisha Heta Dhira, Sarvam Apimam, Tatrimsa Shishat. Sarvam means all, Api, definitely Nishahi, Imam in this world, Tatrim in this material world, in this sansar. That he can make many species to the if he can control this Vega. Vega means that is pulling you. It's just like pulling you means it just intensely it is pulling you, without which you cannot live. That is Vega. That happens because of the attachment. Attachment means you want to enjoy, and you are attached to so much that whatever cost it may be, I have to have it. And that is the so one who could control all these six senses and says Vegas, then he can make this the disciples all over the world. So Papa would think. So, so high this is source of, because the greatest source of pleasure in the material world, I think it is sex pleasure. But how long that one can enjoy, whether it is in food, whether it is sex life, it may be for few minutes, few seconds, and then it is gone. But you lament to get the same, but your body does not permit you to enjoy again and again and again. And that's why, but inside you develop the mentality, yes, that is the great, let me have it, but you cannot have it because of the body's inability. Body is limited. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Rishabh Dev is teaching to Punsha Striya Mitunim Bhavametam Tayor Mito Hradaya Granthiyahu Ato Graha Kshetra Sutapta Vitter Janashamoho. Ahammameti, the attraction between male and female is the basic principle of the material existence. This is not just for male and female in the human life, but any species of life, that attraction is there. On the basis of this misconception, which ties together the hearts, which ties together the hearts of the male and female, one becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusion and thinks in terms of I and mine, I, me, and mine. I, that is, me means the body, and mine means whatever extended circumstances, wife, children, home, wealth, that is mine. And then others are pariah, not mine. Just my sons, just like the Dhritarashtra was saying, what my sons are doing. Dharma Kshetra, Kuru Kshetra, Samavata, you say Mamaka, Pandava, Mamaka, mine, and Pandav, although they were also his children, but Mamaka, Pandava, Kim Kurata, Sanjay, what they are doing. So, sex serves as the natural attraction between man and the woman. And when they are married, their relationship becomes more involved. Due to the entangling relationship between man and woman, there is a sense of illusion, whereby one thinks this man is my husband or this woman is my wife. This is called Hridaya Granthi, and it becomes more and tighter. The hard knot in the heart. This knot is very difficult to undo. Even though a man and woman separate either for the principle of varnashram or simply to wait, but still in the mind, still the thoughts are there. So a person becomes materially attached to family, property, children, although so much trouble taking care of children, taking care of educating them, getting them married. So this is material life. But if everybody is Krishna conscious and then you take care according to the Shastra, it's not denied to not get married or children, but it has to be according to the Shastra, according to the advice what is been given. They should be turned to, one should not become a father, mother, guru, unless you could liberate your dependent from this material world rather than letting them get rotten into the material world. So everything in the material world is temporary. A possessor unfortunately identifies with his property, wealth. Even after renunciation, one becomes attached to temple or to few things that constitute the property of a sannyasi. But such attachment is not as strong as a family attachment. This attachment to the family is the strongest illusion. Sometimes it is found that exalted personages like Lord Brahma, that the wife and children are not a cause of bondage. Instead, that is, but on the contrary, wife actually, if it is their spiritual life, that they are leading a spiritual life, then they could be the cause of liberation. So, Grasta and Gramedi, that is when we describe in this pages. And so we should how we could get free of this. Material pleasure are based on body, which are temporary. Material pleasure, so you please think in your mind, material pleasure that is equal to pain. That is the formula. That which is source of our pleasure will give us pain. That is like grinding a stone. And it may be slow. The result may not be like, oh, I'm enjoying for many years. Why not I should continue to enjoy? But the effect would be there. Like you smoke. Initially, it gives you pleasure, but later on, you may develop cancer, throat problems, and speaking problems, so many cancer of the lungs, cancer of the throat, cancer of the tongue. So people, they ask, why me? Why I'm getting all these things? Why I cannot enjoy? That is, many people, they ask, but there is a law of karma that you want to enjoy the material things, you get entrapped, and then you have to suffer also. The real suffering is there. If you don't want suffering, then don't go for material pleasures. So pleasure seeking, we are all Anandomaya Pyasa, we are all pleasure seeking. So that is true. But pleasure seeking, we are all pleasure seeking. But that pleasure has to be spiritual pleasures because we are a spiritual being. We forgot because of the Maya's effect, we forgot that we are a spiritual being. We are not this material body. We are part and parcel of Krishna, meant to serve Krishna. Just like hand is meant to serve the stomach, put food in the stomach, not in any hole. And then whole body will enjoy. So if you please Krishna, then whole universe enjoys. Everybody becomes happy because he is the central point. Samam Monam. I told you about Ram and Sita, how internal pleasure and external pleasure. Internal pleasure is a spiritual place. So that's why how we should worship. Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajeshtatanaya Kathamavram Ramya Kachitupasana Vrajavadu Vargenaya Kampita Srimad Bhagavatam Paramanam Amalam Prema Kumar. So we are all looking or praying. We are all not dharma to come, that is external freedom, but real freedom is to develop love for Krishna. Krishna became one to many, like he is the Ras. Without connecting with him, Ananda means solid Ananda, that is Krishna. Without connecting the electricity or bulbs with the powerhouse and engineer, we cannot get the light. Same thing, the pleasure we cannot get. Like pleasure is very flickering, very, very temporary, and it will be it will effervescent. It will just go away. But the spiritual pleasure, that is permanent. So by attaching Raso Vaisa Rasam Havayam Labdha Anandita, that we are all Ras means Ananda, and by obtaining that Ananda with Krishna, then we become Ananda. We become blissful, we become happy, and that is the nature of the soul, to get bliss, to get Ananda, Anand, Brahma Goya Kalpata. So by external senses, Martya Avatar, like Hanumanji is also praying Martya Avatara. He's just telling that he's telling a lesson. It is given in Valmiki Ramayana that you came to give us this, cut out our granthi, cut out and show us that these material pleasures are not really pleasures. This Yamunacharya is saying that when he thinks of the sex, he thinks that my lips they curl, and then my face curls, the lips curls on the heart of Krishna. And by reading such things, you get the real knowledge, that real happiness that we are looking for. And Krishna wanted Eko Vai Bhausha. He became from one to many because he's Ananta, he created Ananta Jivas, and all the Jivas were created together, not that they are separated together. You may say that why so many Jivas at one time? Why not like there is a gradual evolution? But there is no gradual evolution. It is all Krishna's plan. And our karma, like Krishna is Anadi, and we are also Anadi. Our karma pal is Anadi. So we do not know when we started, when is our, it is some karma. So we have to get the result of the karma, and according to our thought at the time of death, we take that particular body. So a devotee, he loses test of the sensibilities of this. So one can lose this test if we understand this philosophy. And if we start taking to Krishna consciousness, by the mercy of Krishna, by the mercy of our heart, which becomes clean, Cheto Darpana Marjana, Oh Mahatavagna Nirvapana. So all this Davana, which is the material world, pleasures of the material world, which is burning like a fire, and it never satiated. But then it is get cleansed, then we get our original Guru of a servant of Krishna. So Brahma Bhuta Sannatma Sochatina Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu. It just feel that who is in Brahma Bhuta state, who is Krishna conscious. That is a person who sees everybody equal, who sees a dog eater, Shudra, but he thinks that it is not, there is a Paramatma is there, he is a part of Krishna, and when he loves them, he helps them, he does not exploit them. So if we could remember just this one formula, which is Narottama, Jeev Krishna, it is I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jeev Krishna Das, Yehi Vishwas, Karla Dara Dukhanai. The Jeev is Krishna Das. We are eternally servant of Krishna, and we have given up serving Krishna, we are serving Maya. So that is why our soul is, you may say that how the soul is, how it could be, soul is eternal part of Krishna. It cannot be cut and be dissolved. But because of our attachment of the soul to the mind, and then whatever happens in the mind or to the body, we think it is happening to me. Because everything, feeling, willing, thinking, acting, suffering, that is all soul. Soul is the only active. We are dead. Our senses are dead. But because there is soul, it seems it is working, or it is the body, but it is not the body is working. Maya Sukaya Bharam Udvahato Vimoda. That Maya, because of the Maya, people are working very, very hard and they are making so much big arrangements for everything. Like when you get married, then you have to have children, then you have to have a home, then you have to have some family members to come, and then when there is some functions, you invite so many people, you have to work so hard to get money, and sometimes people take loans and then they cannot pay the loan, they work very, very hard just to show up. So anything which is a beginning with shunya, zero, then and it ends in zero. So in between also, whatever you feel in between is also zero, or it is just a kind of illusion, or it may be there, but it is very, very temporary. The Sikandar, the great, the king, he killed so many people and he came to India, then he was in Kashi and he was seeing some man, he's sitting and meditating with a very smiling face. Then he reached him, why, what is your possession? Why you are so much smiling? Why there is happiness? He says that I don't have other than Kamandul and Lota or one Gamcha, I have nothing. And then and I'm happy because I don't have to lose, I don't have to maintain, I don't have to manage. They could keep open house and go anywhere. So one may say that should we live like this? No, we should not live that like that. But we should not be attached to many, many things, not to the family, not to, but our attachment should be to Krishna, who is it. We are part of Krishna. And our duty is to serve Krishna. And only in that relationship, Krishna and his das, his activity, could be any another relationship. We then only we could be happy because we are looking for happiness. So Bhagavad Gita does not teach us a dry suppression of their desires. Instead, it teaches the beautiful path of sublimation of desires by directing them towards the Krishna. That we do. So Vishaya Vinivartante Arashade Rasavarjanara Sopyasya Parandrasva Nivartate. So Vishaya Vinivartante Nirash. So just by taking it out artificially, removing the subjects of our sense enjoyment, then still the test remains there. People are put in the prison house. Then once they come out, they start thinking again, back to the same thing, same way. If somebody is a thief, he will still start thieving. So these things happen because they have not developed the higher taste. Srila Prabhupada, when he came to the West, people were naked, eating some hashish, ganja, different things. But he said that you could stay high forever by taking to Krishna consciousness. One may say that, oh, I have been chanting for so many years and there is no test, but test will come eventually. That is the nature of, although it is in the beginning, you may not feel good. Anything in the beginning which is bitter, there would be ended with the sweetness. And one way which is very enjoyable or pleasure, then it would be turned into poison at the end. So, beautiful path of sublimation of desires by directing them towards the Krishna. So, devotion is love for the highest, and the lowest will fall away by itself. If one is you are not devoted to Krishna, then you will go away from Krishna. So, material pleasures is equal to miseries. And pleasure and pain that are together and that will come and go. So there is always propaganda. Enjoy to your full state. Enjoy. We are hunting after enjoyment. But we have to know that we get enjoyment will not last. There is birth, death, old age, disease. That would be there and that will cut your enjoyment. There is Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik. Sufferings are there. Old age there. So the strengthen for pleasures, the strength for minimizing. So what two things that we are doing in our material life? What two things that we want to have more and more pleasure, material pleasure. That is our existence. And they strengthen our minimizing, like we minimize our sufferings. But we should see this. Shastra is telling us, Janma Mrityu Jaravyadi Dukha Doshanu Darshan. We should see that. But then people would say, without what is very enjoyment of the happiness. Katta Mitha, sweet and bitter, or sweet and sour, both has to be there. So just enjoyment would not, like I don't want all this kind of material. Means in the matter it is there, what is wrong there? I should enjoy. But you ask anybody, if you go and ask them that do you want to die? Do you want to get old? Do you want to get diseased? Everybody said no. So it's not katta mitha. It is everybody's pleasure seeking, and everybody so is looking for happiness uh, continuously that never ends. So, there is not a single one, or anybody cannot count one single pleasure that has either no beginning or it may have a beginning, but it does not end. There is not a single pleasure in the material world which has no beginning and no end. Only Krishna consciousness has no beginning. It is beginning, and then in the between we have moved, or we have our path has changed, or temporarily we are out, but we are uh, all the time we are Krishna conscious, but we are covered, and because of the covering, that is why we are in the covering, we cannot enjoy the spiritual pleasures. So spiritual pleasure will come. Like if somebody is jaundice, Prabhupada use the example, and if they eat sugar candy, the jaundice would be cured, but initially the sugar looks bitter, but later on it becomes sweeter. So, so that which gives you pleasure will be the very source of pain and suffering. Janishamoho Aham Mameti. Strong attachment. I, me, and mine. Maharaj Chitraketu. He was so much morose, he could not run his kingdom. But what happened? Angira Rishi, Parvat Muni, they came to him. They saw that king is very much morose, he's very sad. Yeah, the minister said that please do something, because he had 10 million wives. Not a single one could produce a child. He says, I want a child. He says, in your fate, in your destiny, there is no child. No, no, you do something. So, by the mercy of Angira Rishi and Parvat Muni, he said that your son will give you pleasure in the beginning, but then he will be the cause of shoka, or suffering. So, pleasure and suffering. So, Harshat Shok was his name. So, at age of 5 years, his co-wives of Chitraketu Maharaj's wife, then wife who gave birth to this Harsho, they poisoned him. He died. And then he was so much again, so much lamentation, so much frustration, so much anxiety, so much depression. He could not run his kingdom. He would not go to do the judgment. His ministers were tired. So Narad Muni came now this time with Narad Muni. So then Narad Muni, he saw that he cannot take to the spiritual instruction. He is not in that mood. So so he gave them instruction through his son. So he invited the son to come back into the body. And then he says, when he's giving the instruction, that yes, you were my father and mother in the previous life. According to the karma, I was to be in that body at such and such time of period. Now I have another set of parents. They are my now parents. And I had many, many parents. Which life that you are talking about? I had thousands and millions of parents and mothers, and the physical and wives and children. But it is a very temporary relationship. Now you are lamenting, but the best thing that don't think of me, I'm gone. Whatever destiny is there. So in our life, there is certain destiny, there is certain place. And then, so we should Hani, Labh, Jivan, Maran, Yash, Apyash, these are all at the hands of Vidhi. Vidhi means you may say destiny, and we should not, and we should tolerate whatever it is, like itching Kandukena. Like Pravat Maharaj saying, this sex pleasure is like itching. And then initially it feels good, but then you start bleeding, you may develop infection at the site where you are itching. So one should give up this itching. Itching in sex life is like a itching sensation. So Sikandar the Great, like I was talking about, he did so much killing and so much. And at the end, he says that when he was dying, he says that bring all the doctors, bring in my coffin, put my hands out and put my hands open. That although I had all this wealth which is lying around, but I cannot enjoy, I cannot take with me any of these things. And all these doctors and everybody, they cannot do anything to prolong my life so I can enjoy. Once Nanak Dev invited some great rich man to take it dinner at his home. So he took the dinner. He was very happy. And then when they came out, he saw so many trees with the flags outside. So he asked this man, the host, that why you have so many flags? He said that when I get $1 million, I put a tree and a flag. So that way I don't have to count my treasury. And then if there are 100, that means I have 100 million dollars that I have it in my treasury. So he says that yes, you have worked so hard, that is fine. But when you go after your death, take this safety pin, take this pin which he puts in the pagdi. He says, and bring me, give me it there. This is how it is possible. I cannot take it in my own body. I cannot. So why did you work so hard to get all this? So money, whatever is there, that is not the source of enjoyment. There was a Brahman Bhikshu Geet is there in Srimad Bhagavatam in the canto. So a man was very rich, but he did not do or use the money properly and gradually he lost everything. And then at the end, he became so much poor from poverty stricken. He was going to beg and people will throw stones at him because he was a rich man and he would not consider them in anything. So they all gave me trouble, but he would not mind when he's singing this, that this is a relationship in the material world is so temporary, the wealth is so temporary, it's flickering, the Lakshmi is chanchala, and we should use that purpose of Krishna consciousness, which will give attachment to Krishna rather than you keep with you. So Sikandar that we hear, with this Bhikshu Geet we hear, and so many pages of Bhagavatam, they talk about various things about this. So, so Danda, with that we are suffering. Yes, we are suffering. So I will tell you a little bit about that. Because we got this minute independence. Krishna is Swarat, completely independent, and we have little bit Swarat. By misuse of our free will, we have been entangled. We thought that let me just use this material. We think that the material possessions are meant for me, for my enjoyment. These all the animals. I can eat, I can do anything, but this is not the way we have to look at through the Shastra information, through the Shastra, and through whatever Krishna has given us. So we have fallen from Isha. Isha apedyash. Bhayam dutiyabhinavesha syat. Ishad apedyash viparyoyo smriti. Mayayato budava chetam. Bhakte kayesham guru devatatma. So both things, that how these things, like how we fall down. Ishad apedyash. We fell down from Krishna. Viparyoyo smriti. That our smriti, our remembrance, our intelligence become opposite. That yes, my source of enjoyment is this Maya, or material nature. So we grab the Maya, and Maya covers our intelligence. Why do we create Maya? Because we want to get enjoyment. But enjoyment is with Krishna only. That is the real source. And Krishna is also looking for. He made so many children who have exchange of love. Krishna is looking. He is hungry for that love. He is waiting for us, and that's why he created, to obtain this love. He created so many people, so many jiva souls, trillions and trillions of jiva souls. But he is hungry. Krishna is after kam. And one may say that why we have to serve? He has everything. Why we have to offer him? He has Vata. But even Atma Ramasya Mune, Nirgantha Kurvanti Ahekta Ithu Guna. So Krishna has so much qualities that even that people who are Atmaram, just like Kumaras, they were Atmaramas. But then when they smell the tulsi and the sandalwood, sandal paste, and the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, they become attracted to the person. So rather than attracting to the material world or Maya, we are attracted to the Maya. And then Maya has throwing potency, covering potency. She throws us and eludes us. Oh, there is happiness. Just like Mrag Marichika. We think Machlistan. We think that there is some water, but there is no water. We run towards that water. But it goes further, further, further. So the happiness of the material world goes further and further. We never become happy. But if we turn to Krishna, then we could get all the wealth, all the happiness, what we are looking for. Because we are part of Krishna. Krishna is also waiting for our love. And that's why when we walk one step, he walks 100 steps. So Siddhartha, we are Siddhartha. So Ishat Apetyash, Asmriti, that we forgot, Swarupi Smriti. Our Swarup is Jiva Swarupa Krishna Nitya. Our Swarup is to serve Krishna, enjoy with Krishna. But we have fallen away from Krishna. And that's why we are fearful. No. And that is the pa varga and upper varga. So we are looking for upper varga, not pa varga. There is a pa varga, that is there is parishram. Pa is anil, ra, we work so hard to get that happiness. Vyarth, our time is just vyarthata, bhay, and mrityu. At the end we die. So we never, and then again we have to go through again another life. So we have been starting in the material world from time immemorial. But we learn this verse is very, very important that I was reading. I will give that reading again. ये ही स्वस्वशजा भोगा दुख योनय एवते आद्य अंतवन्तः कौन्तेय तेषु रमते बुधते. Enjoyment arising from the contact of the senses with sense objects is the source of the distress. Such pleasures have a beginning and an end. O Arjuna, so the wise man does not delight in them. Even if one knows that the sense enjoyment brings distress, the urges of the senses that continue to exist. So Krishna is advising that if one is able to tolerate till the time of the giving of the present body, tolerate this itching sensation. The urges of senses arising from desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. So tolerating agitations and retiring from external engagements that gives a superficial happiness are possible when one has a higher taste. Param drasva nivartate. Param drasva means that when he sees, gets the higher taste, then he will forget about the lower taste. So how to get the higher taste? Higher taste by coming in Krishna consciousness. Devotees who joined initially, many people they left because they did not wait enough. But we have to wait and accept the Krishna's instruction, which are very powerful. And so we have to use this literature, use this contact with the devotees, and then gradually you will turn towards Krishna, and then we will get unlimited pleasure. And that is what we are looking for, unlimited pleasure which never ends, not temporary pleasures. This temporary world, temporary thing. If we give you okay, you become a king of this, and then how long you will do it? Just for 3 days, and you may do so many things, but it would not. Then again you have to go become the same thing. Like one man was very, very hungry, so he went to Jagannath Puri temple, and then he was near a pillar, and then he pressed the pillar. He put his hands around the pillar, and so because his pain got subsided, because of the stomach was pressed, and there is no emptiness in the stomach, so that hunger pain was not there. But people were coming, passing by. He said that why you are holding this pillar? Take this. There is enough prasad. You are hungry with him, so take this. But he would not give the open up the hand to take the prasad because he has a previous experience that there was a stomach pain, and by putting my hand, pressing my stomach against the pillar, it is giving me the relief, so that pain will come back again. So same thing that we are thinking, this material world is giving me pleasure. There is certain pleasure, but it is very flickering, it is very temporary. And he could have pleasure with Krishna, which is unlimited, which is always increasing. We don't want. So we have part of the Maya, not that Maya has part of us. If we give up this, so Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabune Shavanati Shuddha Chitte Karayuda. That's Krishna Prem, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem. Krishna Prem is eternally is with us. That we are part of Krishna and we love Krishna. Sadhya, but it is cannot manifest. Sadhya Kabune. Sadhya means so why it does not? Sadhya. Shravanadi, because our that is covered. That prem is like covered, and then it has to be uncovered, like a brick putting in a brick of gold, putting in the mud for 1,000 years. It will look like a mud. Mud will deposit, but we cleanse it up, and by the cleansing, it will shine again. So by cleansing our heart by chanting the holy name of the Lord, by coming in contact with the devotees, doing Krishna conscious process, Prashadam, Diti Seva, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu summarized in 5 things that out of 64 items of devotional service, you could just do only even 5 things. Diti Seva, Bhagavatam reading, Vaishnava Seva, chanting the holy name, living in a holy dham. So holy dham is fine, living in it, that is great. But if you will not do it, then live around some temple where you could give regularly. These are all the temples are oases where you could get relief, where there is some water, there is something that you could quench your thirst. So our thirst is a spiritual thirst, to be with Krishna, the spiritual bliss. That is what we are looking, the spiritual praying or bhakti. So only by bhakti, not by any another process, that you can obtain that which our soul is looking. Soul is looking eternally for this happiness, but that happiness will come only when contact with Krishna, not otherwise. So if we could keep this verse in our mind, naturally we will be away from propensity for material, propensity for sense enjoyment. And even if those things will come, you will be desiring, but you develop a higher taste, then this lower taste would not come. Just like Yamunacharya is saying that my lips curl up, and when I think of this and I spit on that thought. So when in the beginning, thinking means in Bhagavad Gita also there is 263 and 64 gives nice instruction about this, that how contemplating on the sense objects one can get caught up in this material world. व्यवसायात्मक भोगेश्वरे प्रशक्तात्मा तया प्रत्यचेतसाम व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धि समाधान विधीयते. So I told you this verse, Vishaya Vinivartante Niraharasya Dehina Rasavarjam Rasopasya Karam Drashta Nivartate. So Dhyayate Vishayan Pancha Panchasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamo Kamat Kodo Vijayate Koda Bhavati Sammoha Sammoha Tismanti Vibram Tismati Bhansha Buddhinasho Buddhinasho Spavashati. So we will fall into this material world, the pool, by greed and by becoming anger, growth. Then all the intelligence, memory that are part of Krishna gets lost, and we go through many miseries again and again and again. So the formula is that we should love Krishna, we should serve Krishna, and how to do it, the Prabhupada will start very beautifully through his life, through his preaching, through his teaching, and through all the Shastras. Thank you so much. So I will end here. If there is any comments or questions, then we can discuss those.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, explaining about the importance of bhakti, which will help us to progress in our spiritual lives. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So, Mataji, I will. Prabhuji, do you have some time to take questions, Prabhuji?
Yeah. Let's
okay.
Sure. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, please take over for questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the Nectarian class. We got, I wrote many questions. The comment, whatever you said, and about the material activity has beginning and end. But the spiritual activities there is no beginning or no end, because these spiritual activities are all eternal, and many more things. So I would request everyone, those who have any question or comment, please raise your hand. I can see Kana and Meera. You can unmute yourself and ask your question, or if you have any comment.
We admire you. Thank you for being such a great guru.
We thank you for being such a great guru.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being such a great guru.
Thank you so much. Okay. So, Prabhuji, I have one question. Like in beginning itself, you told like a soul is engaging in like thinking, willing, and acting. These three processes are there. So my question is how we can stop thinking, because thinking is automatically processor. So we don't even though we don't want to think, but still the thought is coming in our mind. So how we can stop our thinking?
It's a very good question. It all has to be spiritualized. Thinking should be about Krishna, service to Krishna, thinking about devotees, thinking about the pastimes of the Lord. So if we could change, rasa varjam rasopyasya, param drastvani vartate. So you think of Krishna all the time, think of his holy name, think of his leela. What these gopis do when gopis, like when Krishna left, then gopis were thinking about Krishna, his pastime. They were playing. Somebody would become Krishna, somebody would become Radharani. They were acting for Krishna. So our thinking should be in that way, and that way to give you real pleasure. And this thing, so that's why Lord Ramchandra was lamenting that Sita has left him, but inside he was, so there is internally he was enjoying. Externally it may seem that he is sub. So he is giving us a lesson for that. So he did all this to give us a lesson that even in separation, viral, we could also be enjoy internally. And externally enjoyment is temporary, but internal enjoyment is permanent all the time. Means those gopis are not ordinary gopis. They were the millions of years of tapasya they did to participate in Ras dance with Krishna. So they were rishis, munis, from Dandakaranya forest and other places. And they remained with they came to birth as gopis. And that's why this one verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita, like there is 4 verses in Sar, like Chatushloki Bhagavatam, Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, but there is one verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is Aradhya Bhagwan Vrajeshitane Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavadu Vargene Akalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Prema Pumartu Mahan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam Tatra Daru Nata. There is nothing higher than that. You walk on the path of gopis. So the gopis were with Krishna for hardly 11 years. When Krishna left Mathura to Dwarka to Hastinapur, but they were thinking of him inside, and that is more important. That Vipralamba Bhav, in separation, is an important part that Lord Ramchandra wanted to show us, and Krishna, gopis has shown us, and we should walk on their footsteps. So thinking, I'm not saying that thinking should be stopped, feeling should be stopped, but feeling should be how Krishna is nice. You should feel about Krishna. You should will about Krishna. Then you should act about Krishna. So thinking, feeling, willing, acting, but not on a material platform, because we are not the material bodies. We are a spirit soul. So we have to work on the level of the spirit soul. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So, sorry. So while chanting also, many times the thinking comes. For me, especially, like while chanting only, I start my menu, prepare my menu, what to cook for my deities, for my Radha Sham Sundar, and what outfit is going to be with the like what type of outfit I'm going to make it. So I don't know whether it is good or bad, because it is said that while chanting there should not be any thinking in your mind. But while chanting only, I get to know like what are all the ideas comes in our mind. So whether I should avoid this or not.
No. Chanting is a separate time. But when you are working, you could think of Krishna. You could think of your other duties. That is also for Krishna. Means it's not something material sense of pleasure. So it's okay. It's a good that you are planning for Krishna. What dresses the Krishna will wear. What kind of food I should cook. What kind of going to market when we go to job. Then we could think of Krishna, that I will buy such and such thing, or with the money. So Krishna should be our center of our all the activity. So thinking would be there, feeling would be there, action would be there. So there is nothing wrong with that. But chanting should also have a separate time that you have promised to your guru, not while driving and then you are chanting, but one cannot do it then or not have time. So it should be adjusted accordingly. But means you cannot say that I am cooking and then I will take that I have chanted 2 rounds, because you are speaking or you are chanting the holy name of the Lord. So that is additional.
Yeah, sure, Prabhuji. I'll keep it in my mind and I'll do accordingly. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So
You-
as
Thank you.
so till now we don't have any hand raised, Prabhuji. So shall we end the call for the day?
Sure. Yeah, whatever.
Once again, Prabhuji, thank you so much for coming to this presentation, and please do come again and again and
Sure.
give us
You
the
let me
lecture.
know. You invite me. You let me know what days.
Sure. Thank you so
I'll be
much,
happy
Prabhuji.
to join. Thank you for giving me the
Vancha
opportunity to speak.
kalpurubhyascha kripa sindhubhaivacha
Sindhu Behevacha,
patitanam
Patitanam,
vaishnavyo
Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavyo,
Nanpoti Vaishnavrind
Ananta
ki
Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Thank you so much,
Nirantar
Prabhuji. Hare
Bhakti ki jai.
Krishna.
Hare Hare Krishna.